It's shiny. It's awesome. It's cool. It's a piece of
good.
hardware that I can give for my baby boy.
Porque eu não comi nada antes.
You know,
Não comi nada. Eu vim
absolutely.
treinar.
Hold on, I'm talking, brother. 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 Hold on, I'm talking, brother.
Hello and welcome back to Hold On, I'm Talking, Brother. My name is Joe Greenwood, your regular host of this show, and I am joined by my co-host, Tom. How are you?
I'm feeling good, Joe. I'm feeling really good. Been very keen to get on the mic and talk this one through.
And gloat?
Well, we got an hour or so for that. Don't have to get straight into the gloating.
Right. Yeah, Tom, let's just get this straight. Your predictions were on point this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Nearly perfect, in fact. We'll get into that in a second. Yes, listeners, me and Tom with our predictions. We score our predictions thusly. 1 point if you get the winner of the fight. 2 points if you get the method correct as well. And Tom, out of 10 points this weekend, how many did you get?
Strictly, I got 9.
Strictly? What does that mean, strictly?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of rounding it up, Joe, because we haven't actually had anyone pick all the fights yet. And actually, you and I, we have struggled a little bit to amass any points. So, I think we'd probably both say anything over about 5 points. And
5 points. 5 points.
Well.
5 points is a win, normally.
5 points. That's like 70 points in the Premier League. You're probably pretty good.
Champions League. You're getting Champions League, aren't you?
You're getting Champions League, but if you get 9 points. They are putting your name in the history books.
This is almost you're talking Man City 100 points. You're talking Liverpool 98 points. You're not quite Arsenal with the Invincibles just yet.
No, that is the goal. Yeah, that's the dream that remains.
Yes.
But still, we're thinking about a statue outside the recording studio.
What for? In your honour of this?
Well, I did say I'd go easy on the gloating. Only 2 minutes in, so say no more for now.
Okay.
But, I'm feeling good, Joe, because I had a period of reflection after being upset.
You're humbling last time.
Well, just a freak event that befell me.
Anyway, listeners, let's get into it. UFC 262. We'll get to the real heart of it in a couple minutes, but let's go to the main event first. Charles do Bronx Oliveira, my man.
He's earned it, Joe. He did it the hard way.
Let's listen. We'll get to Michael Chandler in a minute, because Michael Chandler nearly pulled off something incredible. But Charles Oliveira has done basically what is almost the perfect MMA story in a way of overcoming these sort of issues that he's had in his career and turning it around to become a champion. Michael Bisping-esque, except the man is 31, not 37 years old.
And he hasn't fluked it. Not. I don't want to be harsh on that's not taking credit away from Bisping, but I think he was ranked around 10 or 12 when he actually got his.
He was 4
shot.
He was number 4.
But he had just been knocked out by Anderson Silva, but they gave him a decision victory.
Wait a minute. He won that fight. He won that fight, but anyway, whatever.
Well, anyway, yeah, okay. But Charles has also gone 28 fights, I think, in the UFC before winning the belt, which has taken Bisping's record of 26.
Yes.
And as you say, we're looking at a man here who's primed now to go on and, well, extend that record.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you like with your champions. I think I've stated to this before, but I'm not really a big fan of the double champ stuff. I'd rather have the guy standing at the top of the mountain and taking on oncomers, taking on the challengers and trying to defeat them. And Oliveira is in a great position to do that. He is, hopefully in his peak right now, in a division which is full of killers. And he's got a style which is just tailor-made to be a pay-per-view draw in my mind. I just don't. It's just he's never had that promotion beyond an undercard fighter, and now he's basically this is his first main event as well, isn't it?
Really?
I
Okay,
believe
I
this is
didn't
his
know.
first main event. So in his first main event, he's won the UFC lightweight title. But let's actually get into the fight itself.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that. I mean, so we share a bit of back and forth on it, and I think my comment to you was this is one of the best first rounds of a title fight I have ever seen.
Yes.
And I've got to say, like, having the crowd there, it has its drawbacks, but when the adrenaline's really pumping and the momentum's swinging, it does elevate it to that extra level. And you know, this round really,
I mean,
splashed from side to side like a tsunami.
I mean, in a way, it's almost the perfect round of MMA. We
saw everything.
Ferocious striking from both men, grappling of the highest order, great wrestling as well. It was perfect. And then just like the fact that they were both going at 100 miles an hour. Like, there was no way that was ever going to go 25 minutes, that fight. If they were going to fight like that, we only got to see it for 5.5 minutes in total. But if they were going to fight like that, I'd find a 25-minute decision I don't think was ever going to happen.
Your pick, remind me of your pick in this fight?
Michael Chandler by decision. Because I just didn't think he was going to come out like that. I just didn't think that round was going to be like that. It was just... Like, how could you predict a round like that? I thought it was going to be, him pressuring Oliveira.
Yeah, well, we knew they both wanted to come forward,
Well, which is interesting considering that...
Trains.
Yeah, considering that the first round, Oliveira was being backed up in reality, and Chandler was just throwing bombs at him. And then... It only took...
How close was Chandler to getting this one stopped?
Close. He was close. I reckon.
Sorry, go on.
When Oliveira was on all fours, like ducking his head.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, he is rolling the dice with that. He is because I think also, what did you make of that first takedown by Oliveira in the first round, where Chandler had hit him and then he went to throw another one and Oliveira took him down? Do you think that was Oliveira going, I'm not having any of this, I'm going to take him down, or I want to take him down anyway and see what I can do on the ground?
So what I would say we saw in that first round from Oliveira, including the sequence you just mentioned, was, expert defense. A man who's been in there, who's been finished, and has learned how to survive. And, definitely that moment you mentioned, but also when Chandler was raining bombs on him, and he kept his head moving, and he wasn't there quite to be hit. He was within a hair's breadth of that knockout shot, and I think it was a real testament to his evolution that he was able to weather that storm.
And then also an evolution within the fight, whereas that start of that second round, he immediately took the center of the cage and pushed. He made sure he was going to start pushing Chandler back, and the first shot he really landed knocked him down, started the finishing sequence. Beautiful left hook. Right hand up, protecting the shot coming from Chandler. Chandler was caught in between two motions of going forward and backwards, and Oliveira caught him perfectly and then finished him brutally. Or was it brutally? In my mind, I watched that finish back. It could have gone a little bit longer for me.
Oh, no, I'm not having that. No, I'm not having that.
You're not?
No, I'm not having that. It's this kind of like how Conor finished Chad Mendes.
Okay.
So you got Chandler. He's trying to escape out the exit there on the cage. He's on his feet, but he's super vulnerable, and it's just taken that one shot that's kind of that's dropped him when he's already taken a lot of punishment. And I want to see fights getting stopped. That's a TKO for me.
I could have seen another shot or two, personally, and not in a bloodlust way. I just think in giving Chandler the opportunity to recover, because I feel like he was close to being in a position to recover from what I saw. Like, he had his arm up, he was starting to push him away, and I feel like he could have recovered from that position. However,
I think you've been listening to Kirsten.
Well, I'll get to
She's
Kirsten.
turned you into a barbarian.
I'll get to her in a second. I'll get to her comment in a second. Yeah, no, Chandler. I personally could have seen it for another shot or two, but that's minor nitpicking. I think Oliveira is a very justifiable finish. Like in the moment, totally
I
fine with
mean,
it,
look, he was disarmed, right? He was disarmed. He wasn't able to defend himself intelligently. He was, face. He knew himself. His face was down. He
yeah,
could have eaten more
he,
shots without being flat on the canvas. I
he
don't
was
dispute that.
he was starting to turn. That's all it was. I started to see some motion of a recovery. It's just I'm not mad at the finish. I could have seen it go on just for like a second longer, you know. And this
So
is
hit
and
him until he stops moving. That's
I'm
what
not
you've become.
I'm not mad. What have I become? What I've become? Come on, like I feel like you could have had that go on just a second longer, like just to see. Just to leave no doubt in my mind. But again, I've watched this fight like 5, 6 times now.
Okay.
What a joyous 5, 6 times that is, because as I've said before,
Well,
purity of the sport. Let's also get into Charles Oliveira, his record. A lot of people have made this comment. If you had a boxing pay-per-view in the main event and there was a guy with a record of 21-8, you'd be thinking, who the fuck is this guy? But with MMA, this is why this is the greatest sport, man. You can grind your way to the top and people will buy into it and they will love you for it. And I love Charles Oliveira. I got actually a little bit emotional. I got a bit emotional when he got the belt wrapped around him. And
oh God, it was so pure. His emotion, yeah, it was beautiful, beautiful moment, beautiful moment. I can't even imagine weathering the kind of storms that he has in his life to reach this crowning moment.
Yeah.
When 2 years ago you wouldn't have even thought it was possible.
Yeah, no, you thought he was just a guy who had great skills, but just didn't have that mindset.
People have said he's a quitter. You can break him, and the guy's turned a corner. It's the blonde hair. He's reinvented himself.
By the way, I loved his corner doing the Romania 1998 World Cup thing of dyeing all their hair blonde. It was. Yeah. I like that personally, and also I don't know what it is. There's something just about him as a guy that I just like. I just buy into him. I just buy into his story and to his personality of he's clearly a very humble guy, who just has unbelievable talent. Like he's his jiu-jitsu is unbelievable. So for Chandler, by the way, to get out of that position, like a fucking gorilla, by the way, just like I'm getting out of this now.
Yeah, I thought Chandler was done there.
Yeah. So anyway, Charles Oliveira is fantastic. What's next for him?
Well, that's the natural question, isn't it? I have seen some chatter in some quarters talking about this being Holloway's opportunity to come up. Yeah, you're one of them. Yeah, that's a hell of a fight. It's a hell of a fight.
Well, would you? I'd be happy with that. Like Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira, do it in August or whatever. Do it just like a month after the Poirier-McGregor fight. And then have those two fight each other later in the year, November, December time, Madison Square Garden maybe.
A rematch if Holloway came through, rematching Poirier at 155 or rematching Conor.
Yeah, to me that just opens up a load more things, and also I feel like for Charles Oliveira, he's lost to Max Holloway. He lost to Max Holloway, so again it would be a rematch for him.
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira, by the way, I was worried about this. Wins the belt and then immediately calls out another champion. Please just stay in the division.
I missed that. He was talking about going down, wasn't he?
Volkanovski. Yeah.
Oh.
Mate, he couldn't make 145. I was worried he was going to say Usman, but like...
we know Volkanovski used to be 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Power cubes. So.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I was actually thinking if Chandler had won that fight, I could have imagined Volkanovski going up and facing him.
Chandler, he's got lots of fun matchups. He's not done.
Oh God, no! I think Chandler
could a good addition.
He could get back to a title fight as well.
Well, for me, I want to see him fight at least 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times.
Yeah.
It depends on who he fights. Like if he fights Gaethje, and then he fights. Let's say,
of course, if he goes out there and smokes Gaethje and Beneil, for example, then it'd be hard to deny him.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I could. Yeah, so when he said I want to get back to this title in 12 months' time, yeah, I could see it. Genuinely could see it. I think also the UFC like him.
Yeah,
That's the most
Dana
important
White, Dana White privilege, baby.
thing. Dana White privilege. So yeah, what do we think for What do we think of Chandler in this fight? By the way, let's just break down his performance.
It's a great showing. I mean, he was part of a very, very, very exciting fight. He talked a good talk. He's likable. Giver tells me he's a handsome man. So yeah.
Kirsten doesn't find him attractive, which is good for me. And then because I am quite literally the opposite of Michael Chandler, except I'm not black, but although he is a part of Black History Month. Do you remember that?
No, I don't know.
The UFC did a Black History Month thing of like highlighting their fighters, and one of them was Michael Chandler because his adopted son is black.
Oh. So yeah,
That was a bit of a weird one.
UFC woke UFC. Something you never thought I'd say.
Listen, man. We'll get to it in a second. I have long stopped caring about if MMA fighters or MMA in general represents my political point of view. And what better way to get onto Beneil Dariush versus Tony Ferguson than that? We'll get to Tony in a second because that's an emotional topic for me and you. Let's talk about Dariush here. Is this enough of an elevation for you where he could be in a title contender fight?
Well, I mean, coming on to that, the UFC seems to think so because we did a little section before on the rankings before this fight, and I think Dariush was sitting down in ninth behind the likes of Dos Anjos and Hooker and Tony himself, of course. And have you seen the bump he's got after this?
No, where is he? Do you want me to guess?
Well,
you just said it.
Have I? He's third. He's third behind Poirier and Gaethje. What do you think? Ahead of Chandler, ahead of McGregor, ahead of Tony.
He should be ahead of Chandler. He should be ahead of Tony.
I think it's right. I would agree with that. That's where I'd be putting him.
That means
behind Gaethje.
McGregor's ranked 7th then.
No, because McGregor also got a bump after this week. Some more Dana White privilege going on there.
So McGregor's 5th?
McGregor is 5th, yeah. Tony's dropped 1. 3 losses Tony's taken, and he's still ranked 6th.
All right, we'll get to Tony in a second, but Dariush in this fight, maybe not the most exciting fight or the most exciting performance, but I think this showed that he can have a game plan and stick to it. And really just quite impressive grappling. Like, he really manhandled Tony, I felt like, on the ground. I don't think, apart from maybe the first round, I don't think Tony was really in this fight at all.
No, we both scored, I think, all 3 rounds to Beneil.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way you can do that. And also that heel hook.
Yeah,
vicious.
I mean, that's really sad. I don't know. Have you seen any follow-up on what happened there? Did Tony suffer anything?
Tony, I don't know about injuries.
It was on his injured knee, It was the same one that tripped over the cable.
Well, he posted a thing of on Instagram of...
Yeah.
Did you see that? The Mike Tyson boxing...
Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
He posted a Mike Tyson boxing game thing where it says, like, continue or retire. And it's sort of like, I think he's sort of like trying to maybe hype up some sort of, I'm actually not going to retire.
Because what I had seen via some other medium was that Tony was like shrugging it off, no big deal, let's keep going. I'm just getting started, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's just return, I guess, to Beneil first before we go in to Tony, because I can feel the energy dropping.
Yes.
Happy for Beneil. I mean,
mad post-fight promo though. First off, what was the first thing he shouted out? Oh, he shouted out Jesus. By the way, Kirsten, was watching it back. She saw his entrance. She was loving it. Him like screaming along to that song. The most generic song.
I was hidden behind the couch, mate. I couldn't take that. I asked Eva to tell me when it was over, but she had the same problem, so we're both behind the couch.
I thought bless him, fair play.
Bless
Bless him indeed. Yeah, and then he calls out Marxism.
That was good.
That was.
And the next one.
Wait, hold on. Did you like it, or were you a bit like that's hilarious?
Well, I missed him say Marxism, so that took it away. But I mean, it's hilarious. So, I mean, what else can you say?
I mean, immediate heel turn from Dariush for me, but yeah, and then calls out Elon Musk for not sorting out his car.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah, same. Like,
and I had no idea what he was going to say next.
Yeah,
you know? But I'm on board.
I always, by the way, I always like his post-fight promos because he never really calls someone out, but he tends to big someone up. Like in his last two, I think he's bigged up two teammates who weren't even in the UFC to sort of like, Dana give him a chance, basically. So, I think, Marxism comment aside, like, I think he's a very agreeable sort of guy who is really kind of like looking out for others mostly. And then I think, did you see the post-fight presser as well? His comments about Gaethje.
No, unfortunately, I haven't got to the post-fight press conference.
Gaethje, apparently, well, remember Ferguson said he was, quote, a bitch for helping out Gaethje.
Yeah.
Dariush explained what happened. Him and Gaethje trained together when Gaethje was in the World Series of Fighting. And I think Dariush and his wife were in a bit of hard times, like financially, and Gaethje helped them out, paid for stuff, paid for food, paid for bills and whatever else for them, and sort of like really helped them out. So I think he's had that loyalty to him. And then I think he helped Gaethje train for the Khabib fight, I think it was. He went out to train with him. And then he said also he had a fight coming up where Dariush, I think, had lost like 2 in a row, had lost his confidence, and he was saying he was going to go train. And Gaethje said like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He said like, "I'm going to do a bit of MMA grappling," and Gaethje was just like, "Oh, I'll come train with you." And apparently Dariush said that like, yeah, Gaethje just let him beat him up. He said like Gaethje just let Dariush put it on him, and he got his confidence back. He said like he felt so, but. I think I totally get why.
Are we saying is that a matchup now that cannot happen then?
No, that has to happen. That has to happen.
Yeah,
that has to happen. To be honest, now if we're gonna, because I remember after the Khabib fight, after he retired, everyone said if you're gonna have a title fight, you need to have Gaethje in it. I remember people saying that. I think now you have to do Dariush versus Gaethje, and Dariush is probably not that hurt. I know he wants to take some time off because of the birth of his child, which is fair enough. I'm already sort of booking it in my mind. I would do Gaethje versus Dariush later in the year, maybe a month or so before the next lightweight title fight, and then just perfectly slide into the next fight.
So we've got Oliveira, possibly Holloway, Conor and Poirier, and Dariush and Gaethje, and it's a lock. Nobody else is in the discussion.
I think Chandler should fight someone like RDA, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but we're not starting to build his path to the title just yet. He's at least 2, maybe 3 fights away.
Beat RDA, beat someone like Gaethje or Dariush. Then.
But we're saying all these other fellas, though.
They're definitely ahead. They're definitely ahead of him.
But I mean, on a win, they're all eligible for the belt. So Poirier beats Conor. He's an obvious.
Yeah.
Obvious for the belt. Beneil beats Gaethje. Obviously, Beneil would be ready.
Yeah.
For the belt. Gaethje likewise.
Yeah.
Is Conor beating Poirier enough?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I think, to be honest, it's kind of weird to have a lightweight title fight and Poirier not be in it, which we touched on briefly last time. But in reality, I think Dustin Poirier is the best lightweight in the world, and Oliveira should be fighting him next. But obviously, he's got that Conor trilogy fight, which is, frankly, a lot. I think, in a weird way, more important than the title.
I'm fine with that. I mean, it could have come later, but let's do that. Let's sign off on that, and let's rob Holloway then from the featherweight division, and juice lightweight even more.
So what are we doing? We're doing Holloway, Oliveira, August, September?
Yeah, sometime close to the Poirier Conor fight if we can.
And then Poirier McGregor winner faces them in November, December. Gaethje Dariush winner then steps in for
later on in the year.
February next year.
Well, yeah, or perhaps even end of the year.
Oh, what, for another title shot?
Bro, let's bang him out. Let's go. Let's
4
book him.
title fights. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'd be down with that. Yeah, all good for me. Right, let's just talk about the other 3 fights just quickly here. Matt Schnell versus... Oh, unless there was something else you wanted to talk about. Oh, Tony.
Well, I mean-
Tony. We haven't really talked about Tony, have we?
Well, I was going to congratulate you for getting the right pick on this fight. That's what I wanted to just take a moment in the pod to recognise that. You called it. Dariush by decision.
Thank you. I also did put £5 on Tony Ferguson by decision. Because do you want to know what it was? I saw him talking in that pre-fight press conference, and I saw him gripping the microphone. I was just like, man, he looks angry. Like I think he might be back, and then he was definitely not back.
That does bring us to another comment. I mean, Tony, of course, we've covered it, but what's next for him?
Felder.
Yeah, it's one of those matchups, isn't it?
Felder.
Yes.
Gregor Gillespie.
No, no, I do not want to see that.
No.
No, I don't want to watch Tony get dominated by another guy who's got superior grappling.
Fair enough.
I want to Felder or Hooker, or yeah, just one of those.
Shaziv.
Really. Oh my god.
That would be a mad fight. Oh my god, could you imagine if it was Shaziv?
There is one other follow-up to our look at the rankings last time. So we've got a new entrant who we didn't even reference previously.
Who?
Makhachev's next opponent, Thiago Moises. He's been pushed up to 15.
Oh, right. Just to justify the fight. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Well, I mean, fair play to Makhachev for taking that fight as well. I think that's a good sign, to be honest. Like, he's just been like, I just want to be active. I'd rather just see him fight anyone. And sometimes you have to take that long road. You know, I think Makhachev's way on the outside at the moment for a title fight. He's got a long road ahead of him.
I mean, there are what we would suspect are pretty easy marks ahead of him in the rankings. You know, I think we both fancy him to beat Tony or Hooker or Felder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even... would you have him beaten Dariush maybe down the line? You could see that.
That sounds like a great matchup.
That does sound like a great matchup. But obviously Dariush is never going to take that fight. At least not for...
He's taken that long road himself.
Yeah, I think so. And also Makhachev hasn't really been that active, I don't think. So
No.
I think you need to have that sort of run of consecutive fights before you can really put them in there. Really, we should actually talk about Tony a little bit more. I think this is quite a bit of a sad decline, isn't it? Really, for him, just to see him dominated like this, and now, about a year removed from it, that Gaethje beating, that was maybe career-ending in a way. Like, he's not going to be the same guy after that.
There's so many points of view to take on this, and I'm not sure I've quite settled on my perspective. It's so hard to reconcile what we're seeing with the man before that Gaethje fight. Was that the moment, or did Tony just get lucky against guys like Lando Venata?
No. No. I just think he
has he declined by this much in a year?
No, I think what it is that he was way ahead of the game in terms of, like, he had, I mean, a incredible chin, incredible cardio, and he was able to do things that other guys weren't able or willing to do, to make the fight difficult for his opponents.
But the durability, the deep water, the pain and the blood, Tony, as we saw again in this fight, his tolerance for pain is otherworldly.
Yeah, and then he had that heel hook on that knee, which has been ruined.
Oh my God.
And then walks away from it. I think also... Yeah, I just think the game caught up with him, and I think like guys like Gaethje wouldn't have beaten him a year or two before that fight.
Oh, interesting.
Because I just think that people were able to just sort of like figure it out in a way, and it's kind of weird as well because like if you look at the Gaethje fight, there's no grappling in it. He just outstrikes him, and he outstrikes him by being patient. Just stays patient, doesn't get into a firefight with him, and just prevents Ferguson from really having a rhythm. And I think it helps also that Gaethje has Trevor Whitman in his corner, telling him to stay calm, telling him to sort of, you know, pick your shots, don't get crazy. Whereas Tony's got Eddie Bravo saying, "Why don't you try an Imanari roll?" Like, you know, it's.
Well, that adds to the ballad, the tragedy of Tony.
Yeah, and also I think I texted this to you as well after you'd watched. You know, watching all four of these lightweights fight, none of them would have caused Khabib any problems. Like Khabib would have smashed all of them. And in reality now, people talk about the fight that got away between Tony and Khabib. I think evidence now is that is not the fight that got away. No, which is sad. It's sad. When do you think was actually the optimum time for Tony to beat Khabib? That's, I think, is...
I mean, like I say, it's so hard to look at the whole history now. Was there an optimum time? I mean, was it ever greater than like 30%?
I think his best chance would have been the tiramisu incident where Khabib had to go to the hospital. I think, remember that one? It was the Wonderboy Woodley rematch.
And Khabib, he had trouble cutting weight, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think that would have been the time for him to beat him. Otherwise, yeah, I think Khabib would have handled him quite easily.
One little note on this before we move on to the other fights on the card. I mean, Tony does still possess pretty incredible elbows off the bottom. Yeah. And he was really like just beautiful how he slides them in. And in previous fights, he's really done a lot of damage. I mean, Kevin Lee got brutalized by those elbows. Brutalized, and then finished he was in top position. But he had just been sliced to bits by Tony's elbow. He's doing the same to Dariush, but didn't seem to have the same impact.
Well, Kevin Lee had full mount in that fight. I think Dariush is just a better overall grappler, I think, than Lee. I think, you know, he's a more he's won more as a grappler, you know, winning world championships in the gi and no gi. Like, he's overall, like, his grappling will be better.
Tony was still landing those elbows.
Oh, right, I see what you're saying. Like, you almost feel like the edges have been taken off the elbow in a way.
Yeah, the blades, yeah. Or he's lost some explosiveness or something, because, like, they were still beautiful, sweet elbows. Yeah. And it just didn't phase or leave any kind of mark on Dariush.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's interesting. Maybe he just wasn't... I think that's more to do with Dariush. I think his sort of, like, positioning...
Got quite an angular face as Dariush. Maybe that's...
Yeah, I think also... I just never felt like Tony was ever really in a position to throw those elbows as ferociously as he would normally. Like, he was never in, like, full guard, was he, for long? I feel like Dariush was always off at an angle, you know, was in half guard enough to sort of, like, control him. But anyway, move on in a sec. Oh, one last thing about Tony Ferguson. I genuinely got chills when he came out. The crowd reaction...
Yeah.
Them chanting, I was like, oh my god, is he actually going to be able to do it? And then, no, he just gets mullered for 15 minutes. Oh, and also, Dariush, first round, I think he had 3.5 minutes control time. Second round, about 4 minutes. And third round, 4.5 minutes control time. So each round, it went up his control time. Just because he knew he could just control him. Well,
I also think Dariush was thinking about standing up with him.
You think right, for a moment.
Yeah, and then he just thought, like, well, I'll just neutralise him, you know.
Yeah.
Why take any risk?
Well, it's worked. He's number 3 in the rankings now, so good for him. Right, the other 3 fights, unless there's something else you wanted to mention.
Well, I was just going to say, bring it on, Ferguson Felder. That's a great matchup. And suits both of their interests.
Dariush Gaethje.
Yep, signed off.
Oh.
You're going to message Dana? Oh. He's probably listening in.
I'll send this to him. Right, other 3 fights. Let's just go through these quickly here. Matt Schnell, Rogerio Bontorin. Matt Schnell was a bit of a disappointment, I found. Just kind of like fought at Bontorin's pace. A guy who struggled with a weight cut in a division above that he normally fights. And just kind of like...
They said that Bontorin was weighing 160 pounds, Joe. 160 pounds.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not good if he's going down to 125 and he's weighing at 160 walking. I mean, do you know how much Michael Chandler walks around at, by the way, when he's not fully in camp?
180?
196.
Wow. Beast.
What a man. What an absolute unit. Anyway, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Bontorin, Schnell, by the way, I just think Bontorin just forced Schnell to fight at his pace, and Schnell looked a little bit lost, to be honest.
Yeah.
And by the way, fuck the fans for booing that fight.
I couldn't believe it. I said as much. Am I right that Schnell was the hometown
Yeah, he's from Houston.
fighter? What? I just can't understand it. But I guess it was we both had 3 rounds to Bontorin, 30-27, and getting worse. The third round was more dominant.
Yeah.
But obviously the mouth guard.
Oh yes.
Totally bizarre.
Weird.
Did he not see it, the ref? Do we understand what went on there? Or?
I think he clocked it late, and then I think he got it, and I think he panicked, thinking, "Oh shit, they've been in this position for so long." He should have just paused it for a moment, give him the mouthpiece, let him put it in, and just start the fight again. Like, well,
or just with your foot, just nudge the mouthpiece into the kind of action area and just see what happens to it. It's going to end up somewhere.
What do you want? Do you want to keep your teeth, or do you want to get knocked out? What do you want to do?
Thank God there wasn't a shot from Bontorin.
Oh, by the way, if I was Bontorin, I'd be thinking, I'm going for those teeth. Like, I'm taking those out with me.
Jesus.
Put it on a belt.
Kirsten, what's she saying to you, Joe?
I'll get to Kirsten in a second.
Your bloodlust.
Caitlin Chukagian wins a decision over Vivian Araujo, not Arajo. Very incorrect with that pronunciation. Let me just say, bullshit on that decision. Bullshit. Every single judge gave Chukagian the second round, a round in which Araujo had a submission locked in and was beating her up on the ground. These judges were horrendous. I don't mind if you give the first or the third to Chukagian. I think they're close enough. Oh, the third was clearly Chukagian. The first round was close enough. But honestly, some of the judging was appalling.
Well, what I took from this, Joe, was that Caitlin Chukagian, you don't bet against her. That was just easy money. I was so confident that Caitlin would get this done. I didn't actually need to watch the fight.
Listeners, let me break it down. Tom texted me going like, "Do I really need to see this?" And I went like, "Nah." So it was fine. I should have said yes and made you watch that, but I feel like you wouldn't have anyway. And then, well, Barbosa Burgos, fight of the night.
Woo!
My words. How did you have it going into the third? I had it 1-1.
We had it around each, didn't we?
Yeah.
Or at least I had it Barbosa first round and Burgos doing enough in the second.
Barbosa, those leg kicks in the first round. The first 30 seconds, she's like, I'm taking that leg. And Burgos just didn't really show it.
Yeah, no sell. Not really bothered. You do that. You kick my legs. I just keep marching forward.
And also, by the way, Barbosa, I feel like his boxing's better now. I think his boxing's almost improved because he was throwing to the body quite nice. And he was throwing left hook body, left hook heads, like combos. I thought the boxing looked really good.
Well, yes, I agree with you. But I think that, as the listeners may recall from our preview, I think Burgos really, I think he fought a poor fight.
Yeah.
Look at how people have beaten Barbosa in the past. Burgos is coming wading in. He's right in striking range, but he's not actually applying any pressure.
Yeah.
Like I listened again to Jack Slack, who we've mentioned before that we both like,
Yes.
For a bit more of a technical breakdown, and he was saying Barbosa's fighting out of his favourite stance, where all of his strikes come from, and Burgos is doing nothing to disrupt that rhythm.
Exactly. And when you watch like guys like Gaethje and Khabib, they break his rhythm. Like even Gaethje, he fought that fight on the feet, and he destroyed Barbosa really
with great pressure, right?
Yeah. There was no ring cutting from Burgos. He didn't really back. Barbosa was never on the fence really, which is kind of like where you need him to be, so you can't like throw any of those kicks. So yeah, I agree. It did make for an exciting fight, but I think it was a poor one from Burgos. There was not even why not even hint at a takedown as well? Just like attempt it.
Well, and there was when he started throwing leg kicks that seemed to disrupt Barbosa's leg kicking rhythm.
I know. Like, why do these guys not do this? Like Jeff Neal against Wonderboy, where he's just like, I know, I'll just go in a straight line against Wonderboy, aiming for his head. No leg kicks. No need for that. Even like Luque had success against Wonderboy with those leg kicks, but Jeff Neal was just like, just weighed in, and Burgos did the same thing.
You got to have a freakish chin on you, and a kind of perfect cocktail of events to happen for you to just wade forward especially against a striker like Barbosa, and not take so much damage that you are unable to continue fighting.
Yeah.
And it did look, I was worried for Barbosa from the second round.
Yeah.
To be honest, it was a nice jab action from Burgos, and his volume was coming up. And Barbosa's so explosive, he starts to wobble, he looks tired. And sometimes when he was backing out, he was looking a little bit vulnerable. And my pick at the end of that second round was for Burgos to come and start to put it on him, and Barbosa to fade.
And then we had...
But the damage told.
Yeah, scary finish. Scary finish. I mean, do you want to hear Kirsten's comment on that, what she said?
I'm not sure.
She said it looked like a dog going off to die.
I mean, Joe, really, I was worried that
Yeah, same.
he might have had a heart attack or had some kind of issue in the brain.
Like a sort of... I mean, I know this is a horrible example, but like the sort of Mark Vivian Foe, Fabrice Muamba sort of like collapsing sort of incident where you're like...
Lots of football references here.
I know.
UK centric.
Yeah, shout out to all our listeners in the Midwest, big Fabrice Muamba fans. But yeah, it was scary. It was scary, and it wasn't like shot, set, starts to wobble, goes. He was like getting back into it, and then the legs just went. That was...
And then he ended up face down, not moving.
Two shots.
Without...
Yeah, I was...
Well, those shots were totally unnecessary. I don't blame Barbosa or anything.
Yeah, what's he supposed to do in that? So you're supposed to go in until... I mean, you can't blame the ref, you can't blame Barbosa. It was just a freak incident.
I am inclined a little bit to blame the ref. I mean, he was face down, not moving. And then Barbosa landed the two shots.
I guess so. I mean, I don't think it's...
I mean, they weren't huge shots.
No.
Burgos is fine.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep fighting, though.
Is it like that?
Well, I don't know. My personal opinion, he's had the Emmett fight, which was...
Well, he certainly can't. He needs to talk to Gaethje and talk to Gaethje's coach.
Yeah.
And reform himself, because he's got some amazing weapons.
Oh, yeah. He's got power as well, and he's big for that division. He is a big boy in that division.
Could go up, couldn't he?
Could go up, although I don't know if I fancy his chances at 155, so maybe try and put a bit of a run together at 145 first before thinking about that type of thing. What next for Barbosa?
Well, for me, he'd definitely be Ige. He's well positioned now at featherweight. Let me just pull this one up.
Can I make my suggestion?
Yeah, hit me with it.
Yair Rodriguez.
I've heard a few say that, and it's. I mean, that sounds like a very exciting fight, doesn't it?
Or Max Holloway if Ortega Volkanovski's not happening until September.
Yeah, Holloway's booked, mate. He's fighting Charlie Olives in the summer. So.
Well, that would be great if we could get that. But if not, I would take Barbosa, Rodriguez, and I actually think Barbosa's not that far from a title shot. I think one or two wins, title shot.
There are great matchups for him, aren't there? There's
oh my god,
Chan Sung Jung, Qatar.
Oh god. Well, Cater, I don't want to see fighting again until next year.
After the Holloway beatdown.
Yeah. By the way, did you see Zabit might be retiring?
No.
Serious health issues. Apparently, he's got issues with his lungs. Not COVID related. Apparently, this has been a long-standing thing, and he's going off to get treatment. He's no longer ranked at featherweight. He's gone off to get treatment. He will be back maybe at the earliest in 6 months, but there's possible even retirement. I mean, could be. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but that could be one of the great what ifs if Zabit retires.
I mean, I guess we'll be able to watch him in some kind of Abe Lincoln reenactment, in the years ahead.
Yes.
Probably safer for him as well.
Yeah, I think so. Anything else? Oh, Jacare. That was.
It was fast.
That was awful.
Awful.
And that did you the sound as well was.
Yep.
I don't think either of us want to talk about this, although it does fit into a bigger thing of aging fighters, fighting young guns. should they really be fighting these guys? Or, I mean, who should Jacare even be facing at middleweight?
Some old Brazilian legend in Bellator, I guess. I don't want to. I don't want to see it.
Yeah. I think Jacare should, maybe think about going somewhere else. I mean, Jacare, he is a legend, and we love him on this show. He's had some amazing fights. Even recently, the Weidman fight. I mean, Jesus Christ, brutal fight. But when you're getting out grappled by a young gun like that, not good for Jacare.
6-2 in his last 8.
What, 6 losses, 2 wins?
6, yes, 2-6. Yeah.
Oh my days.
Yeah.
Oh my days. Yeah, not great. Any opinions on the commentary? Because that tends to get shit on quite a lot. At least recently, particularly Rogan. Thoughts on the commentary from this pay-per-view?
Well, in general, I'm also kind of in a post-Rogan, mindset.
Yeah.
But specifically on this card, it wasn't anything more egregious than we've seen in the past. What did you think?
There was one moment where it was the leg kick that Oliveira landed on Chandler, and Chandler put his foot down, and immediately Rogan's like, "That leg is done. The leg is done. It's over. The leg is done. He can't walk." And it's just like, he literally just wades forward and fucking smashes Oliveira with a bunch of shots, and then, they're sort of talking about like Tony with his knee and whatnot, and they're just, I don't know, they get fixated on their narratives and they just ignore the actual bigger picture here, which is either Chandler's leg isn't that. Oh, he was Burgos as well. They were going on about his leg, and it's like, he looks fine to me. Like, they get sort of too fixated on these things. Oh, by the way, just going back to the Tony thing, I thought Dean Thomas said something quite interesting on commentary about Tony Ferguson. Basically, that Tony doesn't have fundamentals to fall back on because of how unorthodox he is, and I think that actually is a great point. I mean, his loss to Gaethje was, it was unorthodox versus orthodox. Yeah, pretty much. And when you look at guys who have fundamentals to fall back on, I'm thinking of someone like Glover Teixeira, by the way, where he could be losing a fight, but he's just like, right, I'm on my back, get to my hip, and I'll work from there, and I can just, I know the mechanics to get through something. Tony Ferguson, he just doesn't have that to fall back on, and that's a bit of a shame. And it's quite surprising as well, considering he does have a wrestling background, that he just doesn't go for that sort of thing. But I don't know.
So just rounding back to the commentary, I mean, I think, is Rogan also in this like aged fighter needs to go off into the forest and find another?
Which commentators do you dislike more than him? I feel like Felder might be one for you.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Felder, but I was just saying if I could.
Felder's all right as a commentator. I prefer him as a fighter, obviously, but
I having watched him and Chiesa, I always think Chiesa outshines him on their little pod that they have. It's just a lot more like lucid.
Yeah, I think
clear.
I think it's all the marijuana he smokes, isn't it, that makes him like that. So yeah.
Chiesa.
Yeah, Chiesa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's big into that sort of thing, isn't he? And sort of like using like acid and mushrooms to sort of like clear the mind and whatnot. That's his sort of approach to it. Which, fair enough, good for him. Rogan for me. I kind of slightly dread the pay-per-views in a way, just so that, because I'm going to hear Rogan and I'm a bit like, it's not as if like I'm a huge fan of him anyway outside of this, like I know he's got that huge podcast and whatnot, but it's not really my cup of tea. I find him a little bit, I don't know, a bit meh, to be honest. I don't really get the cult of personality around him. And I don't know if you've ever been like that.
I've never listened to his podcast prolifically, but never. I don't think I've ever finished or listened to a full episode, actually.
Yeah.
But of course, he does attract interesting guests, and he can pose interesting questions.
I think when he has someone on that I would like to listen to, I listen to it. But whether like certain MMA figures, like when he had John Kavanagh on, I found that quite interesting. It depends on who he has on. But anyway, whatever. That we're
Maybe he's just overexposed and he's just doesn't have his finger on the pulse anymore. Because of course he was originally when he was there with Goldberg. Yeah, you were just dying to hear Rogan speak as much as possible.
Yeah, poor Goldie. Right. Well, not poor Goldie. He's a very well off bloke, isn't he? Last thing, just a bit of news here. Dan Hardy being released from the UFC from his fight contract. Seems like he's going to go fight in Japan.
In Ryzen? Or?
Potentially Ryzen by the looks of it. He talked about fighting Diego Sanchez, which is something I do not want to see. So
is that serious?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, I would lose a lot of respect for Dan Hardy. Not that they hold him in huge esteem, but he's definitely been a good analyst. He's been a great analyst.
Great analyst, yeah.
But he talks about like integrity and he's, holding the judges and the referees to account, and he's a man of great principle. He's going to go and fight somebody who's mentally unwell and is having their brain scanned for CTE.
Yeah,
is that serious?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I saw him talk about this. He suggested. I mean, he's talking about maybe Diego. He thinks Diego Sanchez should go fight in Japan. I was just like, I don't think Diego Sanchez should be fighting at all. And then he suggested he could fight him, because he was thinking like veterans should fight each other.
I'm shaking my head here, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, he also suggested fighting Shinya Aoki, which I'd be much more interested in seeing that. But
what about go up in weight and fight Chuck Liddell or something like that?
Oh dear! Under Oscar's fucking promotion, what was it, Golden Boy?
Yeah.
No, terrible suggestion. Yeah, not really a fan of that, Dan, and please don't do that. Yeah. Anything else that we wanted to talk about, or is actually?
Oh well, let's look ahead. I know you had some exciting matchups coming in the next few weeks.
Well, May 22nd, Garbrandt versus Font. Cody Garbrandt's return. Very excited for this. I'm going to run through this card from the main card stuff, and I want you to just give me your picks off the top of your heads, okay?
All right, hit me.
Jack Hermansson versus Edmund Shabazian, which was supposed to be on UFC 262, but was delayed a week.
Hermansson decision.
Okay, lovely. David Dvorak versus Rolian Paiva, men's flyweight. What are we having here, Tom?
Dvorak is a killer.
Okay, lovely.
Decision.
Felicia Spencer versus Norma Dumont.
Felicia Spencer, Ultimate Warrior. Decision.
Okay. Justin Taffer versus Jared Van der Raar.
I remember Justin Taffer, so I'm going to pick the other guy, who I've never heard of before.
Do you remember when Taffer? I think he fought. By the way, Taffer's record: 4 wins, 2 losses, and he's in the UFC, which is mental. Do you remember his debut in the UFC?
I believe so, but just walk me through it. Yeah, Jorgen De Castro.
Jorgen De Castro. It was his 4th fight, and he got slept brutally. Beat Juan Adams, lost to Carlos Felipe. So,
the other fella by KO.
Yeah, Joanne Yan, women's strawweight against Carla Esparza.
Any relation to the beast from Siberia?
Who?
This Yan.
Oh,
lady?
Yan. No, she's Chinese. She's number 4 at strawweight, and Esparza is number 5.
Esparza.
I'm going with Yan, by the way. And then also Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt. Obviously, the only fight that really matters apart from Shabazi and Hermansson.
Is it COVID Cody, or is he shaking all that off?
Seems to be all right. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. I assume he's all right.
I mean, he's an explosive, athletic guy. I really, if he's suffering still from COVID, then that would really affect my pick. Rob Font, great bantamweight as well.
Yes.
Deserves this kind of fight. Probably the right fight for Cody on coming back as well. Is this the main event? Is it
main event,
rounds?
yeah. Main event, 5 rounds.
Wow, that's a great fight, Joe.
What were you going with?
I'll tell you what I'm thinking about.
What?
I'm thinking about that Cody knockout on a Sunsao. And I can't shake that out of my mind. So
yes.
I'm going to have Garbrandt KO.
Lovely stuff. By the way, next week, the card before Adesanya versus Vittori 2, I'm going to say it right now, is brutal. You got Rosenstruck versus Sakai in the main event. You got 2 other heavyweight fights underneath, including Walt Harris versus Marcin Tybura, Tanner Boza versus Ilya Latifi. But there are 2 fights on here that I'm actually going to shout out just very quickly. Oh no, 3. You've got Alessio Di Chirico. Remember, beat our boy Joaquin the Buck Buckley.
Yep.
Against Roman Dolidze, which I'm going to be excited for that. You've also got Amanda Hebas versus Angela Hill. That'll be a nice women's strawweight scrap. But more importantly, our boy Santiago Ponzinibbio versus undefeated Miguel Baeza.
Okay.
Now that is going to be a scrap.
That sounds amazing. How long has it been since we saw? Well, Santiago came back.
He lost to that Chinese guy.
The Leech.
The Leech. Yes. But yeah, it's been a while. 2018 was his last win against Magny when he... Fucking poor Magny. He beat him like he owed him money. Like it was that bad.
In Argentina as well.
Yes, it was indeed. So yeah, we'll be back for UFC 263, Adesanya versus Vettori. Tom, what do you have to say?
Well, just a quick exclaimer or disclaimer / apology to the fans for my description of the fight.
Here we go. Yes, footnotes.
Well,
yes.
Yeah. This is the footnote. Yeah, of course, I made a slight mistake for you eagle-eyed listeners out there. Eagle-eared.
Eagle-eared, yeah.
And completely misremembered Kai Kara France's victory over Monterrey. Got almost every aspect of that fight wrong. And there was never no head kick.
Yeah, there was... Exactly. You're a fucking punk, dude. Anyway, let's get on. Yeah, sorry about that, listeners. Tom was very sloppy with that, and also I should have known and should have corrected that. And yeah, apologies for our sloppiness. Tom.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice chatting with you, Joe.
As per usual, yeah, always a pleasure, never a chore. And listeners, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Adesanya Vettori 2, Figueiredo Moreno 2, Diaz Edwards, all 5-round fights.
My first belt defense.
Yes.
And the next run.
Yes. Hopefully short-lived run. Yes. Anyway, thank you, listeners, and thank you, Tom. Good night and God bless.